circus. Hopefully they weren't scheduled to like work anytime soon. And Sam calls Ellen to ask for her help on like what they could be dealing with. And he immediately is like, wonder if there's any romantic history between Ellen and John.
I hope not. Why else would they have a falling out? It had to be romantic.
It's interesting that that's the first reaction in regards to John, especially because we're going to learn more about John's romantic interests as time goes on. Dean comes by his romancing pretty honestly.
If you can call it romancing.
John was definitely setting an example when it comes to the hookup culture that Dean's partaking in.
Oof.
There is a different kind of guilt going on between John and Ellen's falling out that led John to never mention Ellen again.
Because even on this show, we have variety.
Whoa, what? Are you sure?
Sometimes.
Sam points out that their dad had a falling out with just about everyone, which is accurate. I don't think we've met a single person that knew John that John didn't fall out with at some point.
But this one is a woman, so obviously they slept together.
I marked that line as understatement of the week.
Dean says something to the effect of like, yeah, like dad just had that effect on people, which is very similar to what Bobby and Dean were like talking about in the season 1 finale when they were at Bobby's. Bobby was like, yeah, John just has that effect that everyone just kind of wants to shoot him. Like that's
sorry kid, your dad just sucked.
Ugh, John just sucks. Sam and Dean get really snippy with each other about how each of them are dealing or not dealing with John's death. Now that John is dead, Dean doesn't need the security of John being a good father or like this mythic being. He's finally able to accept that John was abusive to them. Like he's now able to have a bit of that. And, you know, he's pretty angry with John for dying and for putting this burden of the secret on him. Because Dean's always been like in this position where if he doesn't do what John says, bad things will happen to Sam. He needed John to be a good person and he needed John to be a good hunter in order to keep always engaging in that behavior where he's doing what John wants. Like, in order to get behind that, he has to tell himself that.
But now that he's accepting that John was a terrible and abusive person, he's learning how to deal with that and he needs to process that.
Yeah, it's a lot of emotions. Sam is very much trying to keep John alive through revenge on the demon in the way that John was trying to keep Mary alive through revenge on the demon. And Dean has this survivor's guilt. Like, they don't know for a fact that John has sacrificed himself for Dean, but Dean just miraculously recovering and then John immediately dying. Or, you know, even just John dying in general is still sort of like a survivor's guilt situation because they were all in the accident. They all could have died. John's the one that's dead and they've survived. And then, yeah, there's like this secret last message and fulfillment of his promise to keep Sam safe. Always weighs on Dean, but is now weighing very heavily because Dad's not there. If things go wrong, if Dean doesn't succeed in that, he doesn't have anyone else to back up. And now also there's an added urgency. Like, he's always been in charge of Sam's physical well-being, but Sam's always been very morally set. He's always had like a strong moral compass. And John has maybe hinted that he doesn't think that Sam's strong moral compass is all that strong. And maybe Dean needs to take some responsibility for Sam being a good person as well as just being physically safe. Ellen says that the monster is probably a rakshasa, which I practice saying a lot of times, but has too many like SH sounds for me to not get tongue-tied saying it.
You got this, rakshasa.
It sleeps on a bed of insects, lives in squalor, which is both sounds really gross.
That's a big nope for me.
Yeah. Combining clowns and insects are not my favorite things.
Yeah.
They think it's Cooper and it can be killed by a brass blade. Sam goes to confirm it's Cooper and Dean's going to get the blade from the blind knife-throwing guy. This is very much an episode that follows the Scooby-Doo format.
It's the red herring.
Where, like, there's a red herring, like a guy who's like a really, like, too obvious of a suspect, and it's not them. But also, it's always the first person that you meet. Like in Scooby-Doo, the first person they always meet is like the real estate developer, and then they meet a really creepy guy that owns like the mansion. It's like, well, obviously it's the really creepy guy, but no, it's the real estate developer.
But remember, kids, profiling is bad.
But yeah, it's always the first person they meet, and the first person that they really met before they even met Cooper was this blind knife thrower guy.
Knife man.
And what do you know? That's the guy. Sam and Dean end up in the haunted house, luckily, where Sam has already noted earlier in the episode that there was an organ with brass pipes. They need a brass blade to kill this thing. So Sam yanks one of the pipes out, and Dean uses the steam to find out where the guy is so that Sam can stab him, which works. And Dean says, I hate fun houses at the end, because, you know, they hate so many things just because they've had to kill a monster.
Why would you hate... Fun. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Why would you hate them? They're so fun.
Yeah.
This
is the same as in season 1, episode 2, where at the end of the episode, Wendigo, they were just like, I hate camping.
Okay, you're allowed to hate camping after that. You are so allowed to hate camping after that.
So they head back to the roadhouse. I'm not sure how they got there, considering they didn't have a vehicle, but we can just assume that they stole a vehicle, because that's how they be.
They stole the blind guy's vehicle. Oh crap, he was blind. Never mind, I'm sorry.
I mean, he probably wasn't actually blind, so...
you don't know his life.
He's gotta commit to the role.
That is true. Having a car would be suspicious.
Maybe he's got echolocation.
And I feel like it wouldn't work if you're in an enclosed space.
They teleport back to the roadhouse.
Yes, we go. Teleportation. Love it.
And Ellen says that John would be proud of them, and Sam's like, thanks, I guess, and he awkwardly leaves Dean and Jo alone, where they continue to not flirt because Dean's too tired.
That's a mood.
It really
Jo's
is.
like, are we gonna see each other again? And Dean's like, probably, I guess. Like,
depends on if the audience likes you.
I mean, that's the whole reason that Ellen and Jo aren't around that much, is the audience didn't like her.
Because they are terrible.
The
audiences.
Yeah.
Characters are great.
I don't even know who we're blaming for that, honestly.
I mean, I never really shipped Dean and Jo for myself.
Me either, but
like, I
fans
really
apparently did not like her.
I can't understand that. Like,
Me either.
The three of them, like Ellen, Jo, and Ash, they're just so great.
I don't really ship anyone on this show, but
no.
if they had become a couple, I wouldn't have been mad.
To just, like, write her off because fans don't want her with Dean, like, it's fine, but, like, also, like, just don't write her off. Like, they can just be friends, and she can be around.
She doesn't need a man to have merit.
Exactly.
I mean, Alana Tall, who plays Jo, was on Veronica Mars, probably still around this time, like, or just fresh off of Veronica Mars, depending on when this filmed. Ash proves that he was not listening to anything that was happening while they were at the Roadhouse before, because he's, like, very disturbed to hear that they were working a job involving clowns. He's like, what the fuck?
But that works for Ash, honestly.
Yeah, he was already, like, into the job at that point by the time the clowns came up the first time. And I like that, like, Ellen and Jo haven't talked to him for 2 days. He was like, leave me alone for 51 hours. And, like, Sam and Dean just, like, weren't present. And he never asked where they went.
It's like, that just happens around here.
Yeah.
I'm accepting it.
He's like, I don't know where the demon is right now, but if the demon pops up literally anywhere, I'm gonna know about it.
Thank you.
And he's like, I went to MIT. Jo was correct. He is a genius.
When he said he went to MIT, Dean was like, MIT? And Ash was like, school in Boston.
Sam was like, duh, I don't need to be told that.
I just love that they have this genius with, like, a mullet and the hillbilly stereotype. It's so great.
He looks like the opposite of an MIT genius, which is amazing.
I just want to see him with his classmates.
Oh, that would be fantastic.
This is something that we've talked about when I was a guest on Abigail's podcast, Driver Picks a Podcast. I covered this episode with them. So go listen to that also. I can't believe I didn't say that at the top of the episode. Go listen to their coverage of that if you want to hear me talk more about this episode in terms of the theme of survival. But we realized here that we do not have a backstory for Ash. We don't know where Ash came from. We don't know how he met Ellen and Jo. And that's something I genuinely would like to know.
Where did you come from? Where did you go?
Where did you come from, Ash?
It doesn't work. It could if you're brave.
I haven't read Jo's journal, but I think that's something I want to do this season. It has some information about, a little bit of information about how Jo and Ash, like, became friends.
Did you say Jo's journal?
Yeah.
Really? They have one of those?
They do.
Oh my gosh.
It will make you pretty mad at Gordon. Anyway, there's some stuff in there, but, like, we still don't really have a full backstory on, like, where Ash came from, how he, like, really got to the point where he, like, lives with Ellen and Jo.
He just kind of stumbled out of the woods one day and just signed up for MIT.
I absolutely believe that.
It's like, hey, I'm here.
Beer bottle in one hand, application in the other. Like, I think that's how it happened.
That was just his birth.
Dean and Ash are sitting very close to one another in an interesting way. And Dean, like, starts to touch Ash's computer and then, like, backs off. Like, he's like, oh, like, this would be like someone touching my car without permission.
Smack his hand, Ash.
Yeah.
Back off.
There is definitely some vibes happening there.
If you insist.
Ellen offers them a place to stay, but Dean wants to go back to Bobby's and finish his car. And I think Bobby's is really the place to be for them for now. So they do that. Ooh. And this is the scene where Sam and Dean are both down to a singular gray t-shirt each. Which is very rare. Very rare that they're both one shirt each.
That's indecent.
Honestly.
Yeah, we need at least a hoodie and a jacket there.
Yeah, and they have a bit of a heart-to-heart, too. So, like, not only are they practically naked, they're also talking about their feelings.
Exposing themselves physically and emotionally.
Literally. Sam says it is weighing really heavily on him that the last thing that he did was fight with John, and that John might have died thinking that Sam hated him, and it's too late to ever fix that. And he says he's not alright, but he also knows Dean's not alright either, and he's gonna give Dean space, but he doesn't want Dean to keep pretending.
The kids aren't alright.
Dean is locked down stone cold until Sam is well away from the scene, and then he smashes a nearby car window and then beats the shit out of Baby, which is the main physical thing that he has left of John's, with a crowbar.
That part made me uncomfortable.
It is.
Just gotta work out your problems in an unhealthy way.
Yeah. It was like just like a full rage. Like that's like his one thing. And we know that John put a lot of emphasis on the physical condition of the car as well. Like he saw not maintaining the car as a sign of disrespect and as a sign of not caring about their relationship. And we get like a little like lip tremble, and Dean's very emotional in this scene pretty much for the first time, really, which is Dean's usually emotional. I just think Jensen does that like single tear.
Single man tear.
Yeah.
Yes.
So perfectly that they use it all the time, and they don't really use it in this episode.
Like, it's a bit of a hard scene to watch, but it's also a bit cathartic in a way.
For me, it's cathartic. Like, I think it would be better if Dean would just talk about his feelings with Sam, but I don't think he's in a space where he's able to or ready to do that, especially because I think the thing he'll want to talk about the most is the thing that John told him, and he can't yet. So I think he just needs to express it. Like, he just needs to have this like physical rage moment. Yeah. And let it out. And at least it's on a car and not on a human being.
That's
true. Sorry, baby. Fades to black, and that is it for the episode, I guess. So on to some of our weekly segments and panels. Let's update some few things. I have a question about the death count. I don't know whether to count this as 3 deaths or 4 deaths. The second kid with the clown, the one whose dad was like, "Clowns are your friends," and then the clown ate him. Did that guy have a partner?
I don't think so.
I don't really. We'd have to look at the bed when he woke up, but I didn't see
it. They really kept tight on the dad's face.
Yeah, I don't remember seeing anybody, like, other than him and the kid.
We could just assume he's a single dad.
I'm gonna count that as 3 deaths then for the episode. Him and then the other 2 parents. So that brings the on-screen total to 153.
Nice.
Cool. Good job.
Off-screen total is those 3. Plus, in the 1981 murders, they had 3 other families. I'm gonna assume just parents for those. I'm gonna say 6 plus, just to be average. So I'm gonna say 9 plus for that. And that makes the on and off-screen total for that 936 plus.
That's a few, yeah.
Yeah. We also tried to assign an MVP of the week, so let's see who our guests would like to nominate as the most valuable person. Let's start with Jordan.
Probably Sam, because he's the only one who actually wants to be doing the investigation.
Yeah, fair enough. And Lukas?
I feel somewhat conflicted, but I'd say probably Sam as well, because Dean is just very closed off to himself of John and everything. But Sam, he's just... It's really hard to put into words. But I would definitely nominate Sam, but because like he's definitely more invested than ever in trying to like hunting down the demon that killed their father, and Dean just being Dean, not wanting to do anything, but just being all himself. So yeah, I'd say Sam.
Cool.
Audrey, who would you like to nominate as MVP?
Yeah, I think Sam is a good choice because again, he was on top of the case, but he was also trying to help Dean throughout the episode.
Yeah, he was doing a lot there. And Meredith.
I Yeah, I also did Sam just because he was doing a case that is about, like, his worst fear. I thought that was very brave of him.
That was brave of him. I split mine between Sam and Ellen. Ellen did a lot of case groundwork for them, both, like, with the pre-folder that Sam took, and also, like, they called a friend for help, and it was Ellen.
Phone a friend.
Yeah.
Phone an Ellen. We all need an Ellen.
Yes.
Speaking of Ellen and the women on this show, let's see if this episode passes the Bechdel test. We did have 2 named women because we had Ellen and Jo.
That is true.
Did they talk to